Hi everybody. Today I'm going to make or show you how I make the instrument panel, and I'm going to do some painting of the seat and cockpit floor, blah blah blah, do some weathering. No, it doesn't come out as dirty as this pick is. It's the only one I have. So right now I'm stretching some fine wire, that way it's already work hardened. And then I use, some of you guys will know what this is. This is a torch tip cleaner. I use these recently. I ran into this idea of mine to scale the gauges to the kit so I can make an instrument panel. As you can see, obviously the one on the bottom, the gray one, is the kit's, and the top one, or the one on the, well, it looks like top, is mine. So I'm basically scaling all the gauges. Now I take that fine wire and we'll wrap it around the tip of the gauge. It's smooth there. These are kind of like mini files, but it's hard to get them to file on plastic, put it to you that way. So I'm stretching another set into a coil. I believe I had 3 sizes, I'm not sure. I'm going through and marking where I think the gauge should go. Oops, that was in the wrong spot. And now, as you notice, I really don't measure anything. That little L-shaped thing is for a piece of instrument that sticks out above the panel itself, like the center panel is raised out from the base panel. So right now I'm squashing them flat. That way it's flat and they don't spring up or anything. What I'm doing now, besides screwing with them, is actually pulling the little ends together. I'm adding some super glue. Funny, I never super glued my finger on this animal. Anyway, I use that to scoot it around. Notice I'm using craft wire for beads. It says it's copper, but it's magnetic. Copper isn't magnetic, so it's copper coated. They don't tell you that. And that's why my tweezers are picking them up. Sometimes this comes in handy. Other times you could screen because you don't want it to stick to your tweezers. Cut the center hole, and then they usually fall apart. What I was doing was picking bad ones from good ones, and I'll probably use all the bad ones. I'm doing the small cluster at the bottom below the raised panel. There's 4 of them there, I believe. 2 outside ones are yellow rings, gauge face rings, and the inside ones are red. Got some small ones up there to put on, and one up there. Yay, 3 left. I didn't know what to do because the model's a Dora, a D version. I'm doing the Gustav, which is the cannon-armed anti-tank version. So I was trying to make sure I didn't have any handles in there inside the cockpit, like dive brakes, siren, bomb release, all that was removed on the G, and or the G3 at least. There was no evidence of it being a dive bomber with this. Obviously, I painted the instrument panel. It doesn't look like it, but it's actually a Panzer gray, a charcoal gray. Now I'm hitting the seat with the same color, and even though the seat's back is black, the cushion I made is actually black. I am painting it charcoal to, as you'll see, and I'll talk about it when it comes up. You can't tell right now. You couldn't see it. I must have screwed up, forgot to film it, then turned it on. As I blended in black in the folds of the seat, and I'm doing that now. I'm adding black to the instruments, the centers, because they were black. I'm also doing this to create a layered looking effect. Hopefully I made it, but anyway, you can do that on seats and cars, tanks, aircraft, the blending to make it look like fabric or it's got shape. Right now I'm just straightening up and a bit of light gray to highlight things, and you'll see me in a little bit here. I'm adding some water so it blends out. I'm adding some very thinned black to highlight what or to raise them out of the panel, you might say. Okay, now I'm painting the seat a RLM02 gray, at least what I think it is. Couldn't find it anywhere. You know, I loved Humbrol because of that. They made that stuff. When you got it, it was RLM02 gray. More fiddling with the paint. Now I'm adding more highlights, because the other ones were lighter and just kind of wanted to bring things out. I'm doing it at the top of the gauges. Now I'm adding yellow with a quill pen. Yeah, they come in handy, but you got to thin the hell out of the paint. And that's why, as you can see, the other one is drying and it's not looking yellow. So it took several stabs, but I couldn't find in my thing where I actually, in my files, where I actually painted the instruments in the, inside the gauges, but I did. You can see at the bottom there I have the red ready. Oops, there's a little, my quill pen was still wet, so I blew the water out with my big mouth. Now I'm painting over in the corner there the leather boot, and I do the same thing with it. The spots that are out further gets lighter brown, thin down version, and the recesses would get a darker version of brown by adding either white paint or black, or you can do a tan or whatever. 1/48 scale, it's getting challenging. The ones that you take your hats off to is the 1/72 guys when they do this stuff. It's like, you're kidding me. I know. I'm added chips and scuffing where the pilot's feet would hit. I got thinking about it as I'd done it. I had to make rudder pedals, but they had stirrups on the bottom. I don't know if their foot would actually scratch on it, so I don't know if I should have done that. Shoot me. Now I'm using my homemade panel liner to also dull down the silver and to add some relief, depth, add something, I don't know. There I'm removing it with a dry brush. You can't see it, but I'm actually just putting it on a paper towel in my hand and removing the excess. The stuff I made dries very light, so when it's dry again, you'll look at it and go, oh, it needs another coat, or hey, that's perfect, or it might need 2 or 3. I try not to get heavy-handed, but I do. Now you can see the gauge faces on now. I'm going back in and adding a little bit of that stuff around the corners of the glass. And this is weird, I got this out of order, guys, so that's why you don't see the gauge faces on this one. But anyway, I'm using some gosh, I drew a blank. Must be an old age event. Pastels, a tannish brown, to add dirt, and it doesn't look that dirty because I cleaned it up. It's all just put down with water. It's removable. Thanks for watching.